That was our last one.
Sorry, it took a little bit there. Only, I don't know, it was loading for like over a minute for some reason.
Hey, Phil, you're live on YouTube. I'm going to start it, but you want to watch the attendees numbers count up, and then I'll tell you when there's actually people in here.
Okay. Melanie and Destiny and Susan are ready to go. I know we don't see. I know we don't see. Oh, there's Melanie.
I'm having connectivity problems, so I'm going to keep my camera off so I don't get kicked off.
Okay, sounds good. Welcome back, Susan.
I can hear Living in America somewhere.
Yeah, it's my music.
Oh, okay.
Got to do something down here. I've been here way too long today. I'll give it another minute. I'll spare you the Bon Jovi. Oh, okay. Never mind. All right, I think we got everybody here. I think everybody who's here is here. So, Susan, we're gonna start, and you're on to take the roll.
Okay, so District 1 is still vacant. District 2,
Here.
I see you, Matthew. District 3,
Present.
hello. District 4,
Kim.
I don't see 5 for Lucio. District 5, okay, absent. District 6, I see you, Steve. I'm here. And Phil for mayoral, you're here. And Melanie, you're here too.
I'm here.
So we have a quorum.
Did we lose Phil?
Oh,
I think we lost Phil. I'll take over while he comes back on. After the roll call, we do approval of the minutes. Did everyone get a chance to review the minutes from last month? Does anyone have any changes to the minutes? Any corrections or additions or revisions?
Of course, as soon as I did, like, nothing, everything worked today except for like at that second. Ridiculous. So the only thing I want to talk about with the minutes is Susan. So we're at the minutes, right, everybody? I'm present, so I don't know if I got counted present, but I'm present. Susan, do we usually put in when we approve things or when things pass? Because I noticed when we took the vote on page, what is this, page 3, it doesn't say that it was approved. It just says it was motioned and seconded.
yeah.
Do you usually put that something is passed?
Usually I put who motioned and who seconded. And sometimes you've done it as, or we've done it as a unanimous type of passage.
Okay.
Or we do a vote.
Okay, I just think it's important that we note that, it was, whether it was approved or denied or anything like that. So that's my only comment on the minutes, with the addition to that, just saying that they're approved, because it doesn't say what the action was. Yes, we voted, but it doesn't say what the outcome was. So I'd like to add.
I can get with Destiny and we just will redo that section. You said it was on page 3, or it was, and we'll just, fix it.
Let me unmute myself. Yeah, it was on page 3. That's what I have.
Okay.
So I
We
just
can
want to make
fix
sure
that.
they put in there approved. So that would be my only correction. Any other corrections to the minutes anyone sees? Everybody got to see the minutes. Okay, hearing no other corrections, I need a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve those minutes with said correction.
Yeah, and I think that
Thank you so much, Stephen. Where's the second? Who's going to second that motion?
I'll second. This is Melanie.
Okay. Any further discussion? Anyone opposed? Then we're going to say that we have approval of the minutes from last month. The agenda. Did everybody get a chance to see the agenda for this month? Any corrections needed made? Any changes? Anyone see? So I'd like to add two things. One, I think it's important, and I forgot to mention this to you, Jill. I think we need to vote on our budget recommendations to the Department of Public Works. We talked about this last time, and since we want to get this to you by the end of this year, fiscal year, which is in 7 days, I think we need to vote on the projects that we want to shoot for after we talk about it on the budget when the budget task force does a report. We'll finalize that, and then as a committee we can take a vote to recommend those projects and those things that we would like, and the monies that we want from the Department of Public Works for this next fiscal year. So I'd like to add that. The other thing I'd like to add is, I don't know if I need to add it, but just right after we do this, I'd like to take a moment of silence for some pedestrians that were killed in the city of Fresno this last week. It's been a deadly month on the streets for pedestrians, and I'd like to do that moment of silence after we approve the agenda. So those are the two things I'd like to add. Are there any discussions or any questions, or anyone else have any changes? Okay, hearing no other changes or wants, or can I get a motion to approve the agenda with those two changes, or those two additions to the agenda?
Just a quick question. Would we do that approval during the task force report for the budget task force?
Yeah, we're going to go through it, and then once everybody understands what we're going to be asking for, I'd like to vote as a committee to make sure everybody's on the same page on what we're asking for.
Okay, I'll motion to approve the agenda with the addition.
Who would like to second?
I'll second.
Laura's going to second. Anyone opposed to the agenda changes in the agenda itself? Okay, agenda is going to pass. And as I said before, I just wanted to take a moment to say it has been a deadly month for pedestrians in the city of Fresno. And recently, I know we've had a few others, but I think we all were moved by the 10-year-old that was killed out at Woodward Park in Fort Washington. It was not a good situation there. It was a hit and run. And we also had one, I'm looking here, on June 11th, Elm in Geneva in Southwest Fresno, it looks like. A field worker was killed, pedestrian as well. So it's been since our last meeting, it's been a very deadly month. And I don't want this to become a tradition, because obviously we want to make sure that we get to, 0 pedestrian and bicycle fatalities. But I think it's important, given the gravity of those 2 killings, of Angel Hernandez. Yeah, his name was Angel Hernandez, and Martina Flores. And I know I'm probably missing a few here maybe in the city of Fresno, and I'm sure Officer Belli could give us more details on that. But again, it's not something that I want to do every month, but I think when it does happen, we have to, as a committee for the city of Fresno, whose mission is to, work to protect bicycle and pedestrians in the city of Fresno, I think it's important that we do acknowledge it. So I'd like to just take a moment of silence to recognize those bicyclists, and especially those that were, needlessly killed here in these last 30 days since we last met. So just a moment, if you would. Well, thank you so much for taking that moment and recognizing those that lost their lives. We'll go on to our unscheduled communication right now from the public. They have 3 minutes to talk about anything that is not on the agenda at this time. Bring up anything. I'm going to look at the list of participants here and see we got a couple of people with their hand raised. So when we call on you, just give us, your name, who you are, and if you're with an organization or anything like that. We'll start no particular order with the very top with Tony Molina. Tony, take it away. You got 3 minutes.
Hi, I just procedural questions. I do notice a couple of things new this evening. One is on the Zoom menu, there's the raised hand and the chat. So I was just wondering if those are going to be monitored, or what the expectation is as far as the chat and the raised hand thing. So, and then the other question I had was regarding the the unscheduled communication that said anyone wishing to be placed on the agenda for a specific topic should contact traffic operations 7 days prior. So does that mean that we no longer need to have a BPAC member sponsor an agenda item, or can you clarify that for us? Thanks.
Thank you, Tony. I don't believe our chats are open, right, Jill? Or I don't think we usually do chats. I think we're doing raised hands. Is that correct? Chat's not monitored, right? Or because it's part of the public record if we have to.
I'd ask Gavin. We haven't been monitoring. We haven't had it because it's not part of the record. But
Attendees cannot use chat, so it's not available to them.
Okay, so that's that question. The other question, Jill, on the unscheduled communication is, so Tony asked if we no longer need if the public does no longer need a BPAC member to sponsor an agenda item if it's 7 days prior. Is that still correct, or is this, I'm not really sure about that and how that would go about?
I don't know. Is that something new? I can't remember if that's the standard text that we've always had in the agenda, or if that's something new because of all the, you know, the new.
I haven't seen it before. Go ahead. Who's talking? I can.
Oh, that was me. I said,
Oh,
or
no.
because of the formatting, I'm not sure what's
Mhm.
going on. I mean, I don't, as far as I know, we haven't changed anything
Okay.
for process.
So we can, Tony, to the best of our knowledge, and we can look up past agendas to see if this is changed or not. And if you say it was changed, which I think you did say it was changed, we'll make sure we put the language back the way it is, the way it was, because yes, you know, Jill does have to get these agenda items in by a certain day. And also, you know, we want to make sure that obviously those items are brought to us by members of the committee. So going forward, yes, if you would like to have something added to the agenda, you would get yourself a member sponsor. And obviously that member would have to do it in enough time to allow it to get added to the agenda. So I think that's like the easiest explanation, right? Jill? Still? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. We also have the hand up of Ben, is it Lichty from is it the high speed rail? That's what I'm assuming. Go ahead, Ben, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, thanks for the opportunity. My name is Ben Lichty with the California High Speed Rail Authority, and we've been working with Fresno staff for a long time to work on implementing our project. And I'm here tonight to solicit a letter of support or any kind of support if there's an email support for a grant that we are applying for this year. It's a RAISE grant with the Department of Transportation. And the RAISE program is similar to the Tiger program that awarded the Fulton Corridor in Fresno a grant several years ago for the renovations and upgrades to the Fulton Mall. The application that we're asking the Department of Transportation for is an implementation project at the Fresno train depot that the High Speed Rail Authority currently owns. And we're hoping to bring some life to downtown and specifically along H Street near the ballpark by renovating the historic depot and putting in bike infrastructure and potential locations for future bike share and bike parking and potentially, you know, a bike service station kind of a thing with tools and pumps for bikes. And we also envision that space to have electrical charging for EV cars and green space for the public. So the project really is to bring some life to the historic depot in Fresno, but we think that there are some good opportunities to enhance the public realm for pedestrians and bikes specifically in that area with this project. So I don't want to spend too much more time. I can provide any additional details. I sent a template that we have shared with other city staff. I sent that to Jill a few days ago. The timeline on our grant application, the deadline is June 12th. So we hope to submit our application in the next few weeks. So I know that's before your next meeting. So I know we don't have time to get an agenda item for a follow-up meeting, but if we could get
July 12th, correct?
Yeah, I was going to say June 12th, July 12th, right?
Okay.
July, my mistake. Sorry, my mistake. So, you know, an email or any kind of support would be welcome. But thank you for the time. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Yeah, thank you, Ben, for for that. It sounds great. And you know, you do need we have given letters of support in a short amount of time, so it's not possible. I'm sure every member would like to have some more information on this grant and what it's going to do. So if you could, you know, send that over again, Jill can send that around. You know, I'm okay with, you know, giving letters of support, you know, signing them or whatever. I think that this would be a good time right now for our members to ask any questions they have on it before going forward. And if, you know,
I do have some graphics I can share if that's helpful, but I'm not sure if I'm able to share on the Zoom call.
Yeah, not at this moment, because I don't think I'm not really sure if that is it, and we don't have it on the agenda for today, which is unfortunate.
Understood.
So again, we have done them we have done them in short amount of times with no issues before. I'm okay with doing it. It would be, in a sense, at my discretion whether we do this or not. But again, I think because we're not going to have a meeting between now and then, and we're not going to call a special meeting to talk about it and to vote on the letter of support, because that takes a lot of time that we don't have. But I think right now, I think it's important for members to ask you questions that they may have on them. If they're, maybe if there's members that are not supportive of this, I think we can do a letter of support and of those who are supportive, and maybe keep those who aren't off. I mean, we can figure something out since you do
Phil?
it by July. And hold on, Matthew. And then I think we can figure out how to do this. So I would say let's go to the members and see if they have any questions on more about this. Matthew, go ahead.
I was just about to ask you, Phil. How do we know we don't have the bandwidth to do a special meeting?
I don't know that we have to do I mean, that's a staff thing too, as well. And also I think, I think the staff would have to be okay with having a special meeting. I don't know what meetings are between now and the 12th. If we can sneak a 10-minute meeting in there, or a 15 or 20-minute meeting in there, that would be up to staff. I really don't know what their schedule is for the next, 3 or 4 weeks.
I would like to request if Ben could send us some graphics, some information about how much money is being requested, or how much money would be received by this grant, how the money would be expended, and what other organizations are asking for letters of support from. I'd like to see that information before I make a final decision.
I also think, which is great, I also think that maybe by the 12th, if we all do maybe as members our individual letter of support. So instead of me having a letter of support that says BPAC as a whole supports this, maybe by the 12th, we just take the template that Jill has, and we can all individually sign it and send it over to Ben. After he gives us the information, we take a look at it and we see which organizations are on board and all that stuff. Or we just send one with those members who want to be recognized as signing the letter of support. Which one do you guys think is best?
Can we not just vote per email?
We can't.
If
No.
with that information, we're okay with BPAC providing a letter of support?
We can't take it. That wouldn't be that would not be permissible to do an email.
That would be a
vote. It has to
violation
be,
of the Brown.
Yeah, it'd be a violation. We have to keep it public. So we either have to have a special one, or we all have to individually give a letter of support, or we give one-page letter of support with those names on it of people in BPAC who support it. So it's up to you guys on how you want to go forward. I mean, which one do you think is going to be best, individually or one letter with those who support? I mean, how do you guys want to do this?
I think it makes more sense to have one letter, but I understand the difficulty of scheduling a special meeting, especially in July when a lot of people are on vacation. So I don't know. I don't know if we can look at our calendars now and try and find a date for that. But if we can't, then I'm okay. After I look at the information of submitting.
I think Ben can provide enough information, in this email, for all of us to take a look at it and do our due diligence. And look, I think that yes, one letter is better, but perhaps we all need to send our own over to Ben. I'm sure he can give us his contact information through Jill. We can take it down, and if you want to provide him one by the 12th, I would say do it. Obviously this is not on the agenda, so we can't vote on it, and we don't have time to put on the agenda because he needs it by the 12th. So I think that's the only way that this is going to fly, unless we want to do the one letter. So what do you guys think? I know Ben has his hand up again, so can we ask Ben to speak about this, or what he's looking for?
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to reiterate that I can provide any information you guys need. I'll send it to Jill. I've already sent her the diagrams that I have. So in answer to the question, who else is providing a letter of support, scope, schedule, and budget, I can provide that information to Jill. If there's another way you'd like me to send it or to provide information to this group, let me know. We have requested a letter of support from the city of Fresno. So, that's another one that we have made a request for.
I think that if Jill has all our contact info, Jill has his contact info, just putting us all in an email thread, we can all individually email Ben if we have any questions or comments, and then he can individually reply to us. I think that's the way to go. And then we all have the template. If we want to sign off on it, print it out, sign, scan it, send it back to Ben. Might be the easiest way to go about this thing. If that's the if everyone thinks that that's all right.
I'll
I
say
think
that.
that probably says that's, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Matthew.
I'll just say that, I mean, personally, I'd prefer to do a special meeting, but again, staff might not be available, so I'm fine with the individual letters.
Okay, so, and then Matthew, you'll get his information. You can ask anything you want. Same with anybody else. But again, the deadline is the 12th, so obviously the sooner the better for that. So thank you, Ben, for coming and giving us that opportunity to support what you're doing with the high-speed rail.
And Ben, next time, please give us more time.
I know it's tough. I know sometimes those letter of support need to be right there and then. So
Yeah, I was going to ask, would it be possible to send this information around to BPAC before the meeting if somebody reaches out to Public Works about something like this, so that we can have a chance to review it and maybe make a different decision during the meeting?
that would be up to Jill whether she gets it in time or not.
Well, I think it's, technically it needs to be on the agenda. This is a public meeting. It has to be on the agenda. It just, in this case, it was unfortunate that this stuff comes up. I think Ben reached out on Tuesday or Monday. I don't even remember. It was this week already. So, there's just not enough time, but it needs to be on the agenda.
Yeah, I think that if we're gonna, for future, and it's not always gonna happen, but I think going forward, if this is the way, unless anybody's okay with me just signing off on it, everybody can take a look at it. I mean, another way to do it, is doing that. Everybody takes a look at it. Everybody just tells me, sign off on a letter, and I sign off on the letter. If we all agree, or we all send individual letters, or whatever. So either way, I think it's going to get done. So whether it comes from all of us, or it comes from one of us, or it comes from 3/4 of it, I don't know.
Can we vote and say that we would like you to sign on behalf of BPAC after reviewing the documents, unless there's paramount objections to it?
We can't, because it has to be on the agenda, and it's not on the agenda. This is unscheduled communication, which are things that aren't on the agenda, so we can't add it to it at this point. So, in the future we'll figure it out. And these things come up at the last minute. We saw all the time with Shelby. Or I'd get emails like 3 days before a letter of support needed to go out. So in the future, it just happens. So whether we all do it individually or not, and I think right now, we're going about it the best way, which is everybody takes a look at it. Everybody gives their own letter of support, letting them know what your BPAC representative, and that's even more letters from them. So it looks like there's more people that are supporting rather than one entity. So thank you, Ben, for the update or for the opportunity. So we're going to continue on now, get into our task force reports. Yeah, let's do that. And then we didn't have member reports, Jill, but I don't know, we can always ask, we can go around members as well at some point. But let's start with our task force. Just get those out of the way. The semi-annual report. Jill and Susan are on that, right?
I've almost got the staff report done, to send to our attorney's office for review. I just have one question. Is it October 2020 through March 2021? Is that the date? Is that the time period?
Susan, do you remember what it was? I think you're right. I don't remember what our last semi-annual report was.
I couldn't remember if that's 6 months. I was thinking it was, I keep saying April and I keep writing April, but so I wanted to confirm if it was supposed to be April or.
Okay, I'm opening up this one. It says November 2020, but I'm not really sure exactly what the 6 months covered. I'm waiting for it to open here.
That was September.
Well, this basically went from all the way. This went all the way from the beginning of the year because this was our first one, to September 23rd, which would it look like? So yeah, October. But we didn't present it until what, November? And that's when it actually was presented to
Right.
council.
Yeah, and so there's data in there, and I want to make sure that I'm not, if it ends March 31st, that I'm not including April data in the document. I'm gonna cut it at March. I'm gonna go
October, November, December.
Let me see where it's at.
Yeah, that's 6 months. October, November, December, January, February, March.
I'm gonna go October through March.
Okay.
But yeah, so that I'm going to be on vacation July 14th through the 23rd or 24th. So I'm putting it on the July 29th meeting, or that's what I'm requesting.
For the council meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
I will miss the other ones in that month, during the month.
Okay. So July 29th is our goal, is the aim for the semi-annual report. Who presented last time? Was it myself and Melanie, or was it Melanie?
I don't remember. I know I did something, but I don't remember. You might have helped me.
Actually, I think it was a Zoom call. I think I was on the call, but I think Phil, you did it all, and I don't remember having any questions or having to add anything.
Yeah, it was just a Zoom. Yeah. Were you there?
I'm pretty sure I was there, and I was just kind of like on standby for any questions or anything, but nothing came up. So I think you did a good job.
Okay. So this next time, I can do it unless we all want to just rotate and kind of, everybody's going to get a chance a couple times a year. So does anybody want an opportunity to present the semi-annual report to the council? And that one will probably be in person, right? We don't know. Okay. Anybody else besides myself? And I guess Melanie could be there. Anybody could be there. It doesn't matter. And we can all stand together and present the report and look like we're all on the same page and everything.
I think for online, they just have to have your name, because that way they can make you one of the panelists, so you can talk if you need to. But yeah, I think multiple people could, be involved in that if they want to.
Okay. Any questions on that? Do you have a final draft of that report yet, Jill?
No, I don't. I was working on it today, and I'm almost there.
All right. Well, as soon as we get it, we'll send it around. That way, everybody can see what we're gonna report. And thank you for working on that. So let's do our next task force will be the budget task force. So that'll be myself, Laura, and Steve. And I got some updates that I sent to Jill regarding the PSAs. So this last year, we spent about, I guess there was 5,200 that was spent on the PSAs. And I totally forgot about this. So for next year, this next year, we were thinking of 4 PSAs. We were thinking of the scramble of Fresno State, the 3-foot rule, the class 4 bike lanes, and we were thinking of the stop to yield law. That's not a law yet. It's coming. It's coming really soon. The stop to yield law. So those are the 4 that we were thinking of doing. And so today or yesterday, I received a quote from CMAC, because I think we all saw we were all in agreement that the PSA that they did in production for us was good. We liked it. We saw it. It's still working on the Hawk one, I think, but I think it should be done pretty soon. And we paid for those out of this last year. So with those 4 for this next fiscal year, the total came out to $12,040 for all 4 of those. $12,040. And I got those yesterday, and I asked Jill to either send it around or she can bring up the quotes if she wants to see what CMAC is charging us for each of those quotes. She has. Are you going to send it around or put it up, Jill, right now?
Put it up if you give me a second.
Okay, sounds good. Just that way everybody can see. Since we're going to vote on these recommendations, everybody can take a look at what each of those projects are going to be. And Scott, I wanted to clear up something with the class 4. Kyle was telling me that you asked for it to be paid for this year out of the 2020-2021.
That's correct.
So am I taking out $2,240? No, we're not taking out $2,240.
Not anymore. We're going to try to pay for it with this year's, but I think we're too late.
Okay.
I don't think
that's fine. We'll keep it in there. So that way everybody can go ahead.
Can our funding be used for placement of these ads?
I believe so. Yes, because yes.
Okay, so I think that we should build some, well, I don't know the rest of the budget task force, what you guys have talked, but could we build some money into there for actual placement? I think we can get some free ads, but I think we should have a little bit.
Yeah, let me finish the rest of them, and then we can figure out where we can take out money. Okay, so all those 4 PSAs, and Jill will put up all the invoices, all the quotes, is $12,040. For the plaques, the awards for next May we're going to budget about $200 for those. That's what Melanie suggested we spend we allot $200 for the plaques. The next one's going to be the helmets for the bike helmets and the lights. And the bike helmets and the lights are going to run about $4,000, $2,000 for each. Okay. And then I wanted to ask, and I thought we were all in agreement of $5,000 for like sponsorship money, right? Giving money to organizations who come to us asking for sponsorship of their event. So if you add all those up, you get $21,240 that we are asking that we will be asking the Department of Public Works to help us out with in that budget for this next fiscal year. That's what I have, Melanie. So it's already over 2,000, or it's already over 20,000, unless we want them cut somewhere. And I don't know where to do that, or I don't know where. Obviously, sponsorship money is, it is what it is. But I'm not, and I don't know how much to even we would ask for to place these things. I don't even know how that works.
Is my screen up?
Your screen is up. Yes. Mm-hmm. Is this the first one?
This is.
Yeah. This is the 3 feet. So this is the quote for the 3 feet safety one. So it's $3,000. And then the next one is the scramble, which is 3,400. It looks like they're adding aerial to that one, so I'm guessing it'll be like a drone or something. And then the class 4 is 2,240. Another aerial thing that looks like they're going to have. And then the stop to yield. Now, this is the one that's interesting because stop to yield is not an actual law yet. It's being proposed. It should be, it's really close. So in terms of priority, I was thinking this will be our last one because it'll probably take a while before it gets passed. The first one I'm hoping that we can do is the scramble because Fresno State starts up in August. So I thought that one.
And if we were going to cut one of these, this would be the one to cut because it's not actually a law yet.
Correct. And
So
again,
that could be money we could use to.
Yeah, and again, we can always take. We're just asking for the money right now, and obviously, if this doesn't get around to being a law in the next fiscal year, we can cut this. Obviously, this is not gonna. We can use the $3,400 if we have anything to use it for at the end of the year at all, if it's even there. So. But yes, you're right. That's one of them.
So a couple of things. I think placement of ads can cost a lot of money, depending on when we want to place, where we want to place, the length of our ad, if we want to do 15, 30 seconds, things like that. So it can vary quite a bit. So I have a question. I don't think Jill has the answer, but maybe we could find out. I would assume the city of Fresno has some relationships with some already existing media partners. What we do with the county is we pay for a lot of stuff. We do a lot of ads. Hopefully you guys have seen a lot of our ads on either TV or other areas. But then, when we do that, they usually will say, you're going to pay for this many ads, but because you paid for this much, you're going to get this other section of ads for free. We'll place these for free. So does City of Fresno have any opportunities for us to place these for free? That's my first question. My second question is, yes or no, but if not, how much would the media partners charge us to run some of our ads? That's going to make an impact on how much if we even want to try to go for it, if it's affordable, or if we just want to try and go for earned media only. If we do go for paid media, my proposal would be to take this one out for the stop as yield. Since it's not law, it'll take a while to go into effect, and I don't want to put anything out prematurely to confuse people. And then I would say with the sponsorship, I guess I just have some questions about sponsorships. I understand it would be like sponsoring an event. Sponsorships are usually really expensive, so I don't see it as sponsoring more than maybe 1 or 2 events.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe, throughout the year we can do like 1 or 2 if, because sponsorships, depending on how big of a sponsor you want to be, it's going to run you anywhere from like $1,000 to $2,500.
Right,
so and our $2,500, you're doing 2 events, but again, it's quality over quantity, so maybe they're 2 quality events. Maybe it's 1.
But is sponsorship allowable?
That is why we're asking. we just want to ask for this money. We're not. I don't think. Again, it's going to be their discretion, but I don't think it hurts to ask.
Right, but can Jill answer that for us now? Jill, do you know if sponsorships would be an allowable expense with our funding? Because I thought it was education. So I guess as a sponsor, if we had a booth, I guess we could, provide
it. If it was a sponsorship towards a safety event.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that. I have to check. I'm not even sure how the helmets and the bike lights, if that is an allowable expense. We've had some questions on that in the past. And so I don't have an answer. I also don't have an answer on how, if we have any media partners. I seem to remember that a few years ago, we did do print ads with Valley Public Radio. And I believe it took up most of the budget to place those ads. So it is quite spendy. I'm guessing that video media is more expensive. I don't know. I could be totally wrong on that, but yeah, the ad placements and in the past, before my time, they would use this money for commercials and whatnot. And that's really all they would use it for, or for video media. And this would take up the whole budget. So I don't have an answer, but when we get to that point, I can check it out.
Yeah, no, it's not cheap for sure, although now we can do social media ads, which tend to be a little less expensive than, TV ads and things like that, but they still cost, especially if you want to boost your reach, you can boost it up and then pay extra. It's not terrible, but it does cost something. So, I mean, again, we can always just go for, send it with our partners, all of our partner social media things, try to do some earned media, get whatever we can for free. But it would be nice to see it, like on the morning news, on a commercial or something, something.
Well, you know what? We can always ask the mayor to help out with that because his communications director is Cynthia Rose, right? She used to work for ABC 30. Maybe she knows somebody.
I think we should, but sometimes when you come as the city of Fresno, they see deep pockets and they are going to want to charge us. But we can certainly, Cynthia might be able to have the hookup and get us something, since it is a community service, announcement above everything else.
Excellent. Okay, so are we, any other questions on the budget before we vote on what we want to ask for in this money? Are we all good with taking out this one? So we're going to free up $3,400. Is this what we're thinking here?
I agree with that. And
are we going to replace it? Are we going to replace it with anything? That's the question.
I would ask to replace it with media placement. That would be my first choice. I have a question though.
Okay.
If we make the proposal, are we making the proposal to Public Works and then they're going to get back to us and let us know, or what's the negotiation here?
Yeah, so I think if you vote on it and these are the the 5 things you want to focus on for this fiscal year, this upcoming fiscal year, I will sit down with our team and decide this works, this doesn't work, and we can go from there.
So I would say I think that's good. Just replace this. And do we want to replace the sponsorship as well with paid media? Because if that happens, now you're over 8,000 with paid media. Where does that paid media go, right? I mean, you can put it on Facebook, you can put it on,
we can spend 8,000 in the blink of an eye on paid media. Trust me.
Sure. Yeah. No. Absolutely. So,
if we want to do sponsorship, I think we request it, and then if they say no, if it's not an allowable expense, then we can try and put it somewhere else. But I'm okay with sponsorships if it's allowable. That's my only concern. Yeah. Is it an allowable expense?
I think.
Well, we won't know until they talk about it.
Right. But I think we should have this is it. And then if, this is just an idea, but we decide sponsorship is not allowable.
Okay. We wanted to go towards paid media.
We wanted to go to media, or okay. If the helmets aren't a allowable expense, we want then that money to go towards media or towards,
Well, here's the thing. If anything gets kicked out besides this, I think everything should go to paid media. So like whether it's, if we're going to do these 3 things for sure, if we're going to do the 3, and if Department of Public Works comes back and says, we're not going to give you the helmets, we're not going to give you the scholar or the sponsorships, we're not going to give you, or whatever, but we will put all that money towards paid media. Now we have over, $12,000 of paid media.
In the budget task force, did you guys talk about some of the other events that we used to do, like the walk to school days, and how we could support those events? So
because as soon as we started adding the numbers up on these, it got to 20,000 like that, like literally like that. So there wasn't much room for wiggle room. So it was like, here we go. And the thing is that, Jill needs to have these recommendations like now. So if we're going to stick with removing, okay, so we can vote on the 3, the 3 PSAs. We're going to ask for that money. We're going to ask for the plaque money. we're going to ask for the lights, we're going to ask for the scholarship, and then we're going to replace the 3,400 with 3,400 of paid media. And then we can put an amendment on it if we want. If we don't get lights, or if we don't get lights or sponsorships, we want it to go to paid media. So that would be it. Any questions or comments on that?
I don't know if we're allowing, but Tony has his hand up. I don't know if Tony has a suggestion.
We need to work through this first.
I'm okay with what you proposed.
Anybody else?
I'm okay with it too. It'd be nice to sponsor certain school events and stuff, but I think if we could use this money, we'll get more reach into the community with ads than we will with funds. You know,
I do think my thing with the sponsorship is it allows community organizations to come to us to ask for us to help with, you know, their events. And I think it's good for us to get out there and let people know what we do and who we are. You know, we're trying to, we now that we're coming out of this, you know, pandemic era, you know, it's still not completely 100%, but we are in a lot better spot than we were last year to be able to do stuff like that and send somebody from BPAC to an event that we sponsored. You know, that's good stuff to do. Paid media is great because obviously it gets out there and the reach is obviously far. But, you know, I mean, I know people like to see.
Bill, Susan has her hand raised.
Okay, Susan.
Well, I do. I just like to say that I like these, but in particular, I've helped with helmet and light events in the past, and those have always been very positive and educational. And, you know, we did the bus wrap that year that cost like $25,000. We got the small wrap on the bus, and it was very sad when it went by. It was not big, you know. So to me, like things like the lights and the helmets and the PSA are positive educational things.
All right, so how we're going to do this? The motion, so the budget recommendations to the Department of Public Work will include 3 PSAs, helmets and bicycles, or helmets and lights, sponsorship money, and media buy money. That's the recommendation. That's the motion.
You forgot the awards.
Oh, and the awards. I'm sorry, and the awards. With the amendment to if the helmets and the lights, the scholarship, I think that was it, right? And I keep saying scholarship. Sponsorship money does not get approved, or, you know, we don't get it, it will go to paid media. It's a long motion, but that's what the motion would be in our budget recommendation. Who wants to make that motion as best as they can? I'm sure we have it on record already what it actually is. So do your best to make that motion of those budget recommendations to the Department of Public Works.
Well, I'll move to move these budget recommendations forward with the provision that if the the sponsorship money is not approved, that would go to paid media.
And the helmets, Susan.
And the helmets.
Okay, that's the motion. We got it. Thank you, Susan, for doing your best and getting that out.
I'll second that motion.
Steve has a motion to.
I second it.
He seconds the motion. Should we do a roll call vote, or any other discussion? Is there any other discussions on this?
My only comment is, you know, with the bike helmets and the lights, I think while the items themselves are not educational, when you distribute them, it is an educational opportunity. So I just want to put that out there to talk to people about safety and using those items on a regular basis when they are cycling. So it does present an opportunity for education, even though the item itself isn't education, right? So just saying that, and if you're doing roll call, I I go with a motion.
We need to do public comment.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Tony.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to provide public comment before the item is voted on. Yeah, I just wanted to ask if the Budget Committee had considered the Melanie's perennial favorite bike ped sting operation. I had a conversation with Jill about that after the last meeting regarding that possibility, because it's actually one of the educational projects that's mentioned specifically in the systemic safety analysis report as being a high profile and low cost measure but it does require it to be done on a repeated basis. So I just wanted to throw that out there and see if anybody if there are some items that are kind of iffy or questionable. Jill suggested that could be put on the list of possible things for conversation. So thank you.
Thank you, Tony. And we did not because we don't know the overtime because it's the police overtime, and we didn't have any numbers, so this is what we're going with. Go ahead, Stephen.
Also, I believe the Fresno PD already has a federal grant that allows them to do it, I think, like 3 or 4 more times this year already.
yeah.
So that would be kind of redundant.
I agree, Steve. I was going to say the same thing. If anyone had asked me, I would have said the typical forecasted amount's about $10,000 for the overtime. It does cost quite a bit, at least for our little budget. But they are doing some stings. There were some ads that came out, some advertisements. And that's good to see that the stings are happening. The unfortunate part for me, though, is the stings that I was proposing were going to be non-citation. At least it was going to be educational. And the stings that are happening now, they are giving citations, which, I mean, it's a citation. You were violating a rule. And so I can see why. I think it can leave a bad taste in people's mouths. And so I was kind of hoping to do more of an educational sting where we could do promotion of bicycle and pedestrian safety, and then graduate to doing citations later on. But that's okay. That's neither here nor there. At least they're being done, which is good. And I'm okay with that. So in the next time there's not grant funding at the police department, we can certainly propose it again. But yeah, they usually, at least with the models I've seen, they're about $10,000. So that would eat up most of the budget. We wouldn't be able to do the PSAs. But thank you, Tony, for remembering that.
Any other discussion before we take the official vote on these budget recommendations with the amendment or provision? All right. I think we could. I don't know. Should we do a roll call vote, or should we just say, like, who doesn't want to do it? I mean, what do you think is the best way to do it? Does everybody want to go on record individually? Or do we want
Money, we probably should do a roll call vote.
Okay.
I agree.
Do the roll call vote, Susan, please, for everybody as well. Everybody.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 6,
Yes.
myself, I am saying yes. Phil,
Yes. Aye.
Melanie,
Yes.
okay. Yes,
Unanimous. Great. Perfect. Love it. All right, sounds great. So those are our recommendations. Should we put it should I send it to you formally, Jill, or you got it, or should I send it to you like in a formal recommendation?
Yeah, send it to me formally. Just a list is fine.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be fancy.
Okay. PSA task force. I think we've pretty much talked about that already, but who was on that one? I can't remember who that was.
I don't remember who was on it, but I will say, you know, we had asked Kyle to move forward. No one had any changes. I was hoping he would get us a final for us to look at tonight. I think it was close to being finished. I think it looked really good the way it was. I don't know how much more they can do, but as of tonight, I haven't received like a final version that we can start to, you know, put to start placement of it. So as soon as we get that, you know, I would ask for anyone that has access to a page or a partner or any kind of media platform to share it. Like we'll certainly share it on the county, Healthy Fresno County website and social media platforms. Yeah, so as soon as we get that, I'll send that out to everyone.
And what we'll do next month too, and they're all great. All the PSAs are, you know, we'll see the Hawk. We saw the first one. So thank you so much for those. I think Tony was on that task force, yourself, Melanie, and I can't remember who the third person was. But thank you guys for getting this done. Next month, we'll put together the new one for this next year. Yeah. Well, I guess I should say, once we find out if we get the money to do them, then we'll put together the next task force to make sure we're on top of Kyle and they're doing that for us. So that'll be on that one. So hopefully, cross our fingers, we get the money for those three at least. Vision Zero task force.
So we've met twice. Tony Molina decided to join the task force during that time period. So if you want, you can feel free to update that list. Besides that, we met and Jill shared some of her experience on a task force at the state level. And we did come to an agreement that our individual expertise is not necessarily enough for this. So we have invited, what's her name again? Allie Geller from Walk San Francisco to meet with us tomorrow at our next meeting of the task force to help put together eventually a presentation for BPAC and also possibly the city council eventually.
Okay.
And so there's also been some discussion about eventually inviting some community orgs into the process or some representatives, although we have not heard back yet. And beyond that, there's like a bit of whispering here and there about maybe, I don't know, going into like a full-on like public committee or at some point. But either way, things are still forming a little bit. But
great, man. That's going to be really good. I can't wait to see like the actual. It's going to take a while, but it's going to come out to a finished product where we're all going to be able to see it and obviously I know again this city council that's currently formed. You know, the majority of them are for this. So the more that we can do, the more clear that we can be, the more definitive, the better the numbers are. And it might, again, it takes, you know, 6 months to whatever, you know, if it takes a while, it's fine. They're all still going to be here. So yeah, let's get it right. So you guys are on the right track. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes. Again, though, just to reiterate, I mean, it's big. I mean, I'm glad to hear there is some council support for it, but it takes a lot of moving around and a lot of like just it's transformative and it's just anyway.
Excellent. Good job, Matthew. We don't have him here, but I'd like to give any members a chance to have a member report if they'd like to say anything at this time before we move on to the presentation. Let's start with District 2. Matthew, you have anything besides the vision? Do you have anything to report on?
Not much. Other than hoping to like meet with my council member or Public Works eventually to discuss doing a bit of a walk audit around the Audubon and also the Friant corridors there pertaining to access to Woodward Park, to potentially look into and determining what improvements can be made to prevent collisions and deaths like what happened earlier in the week.
Yeah. Wow. Sounds good. Thanks, Matthew. 3, that's Destiny, right? Destiny, you have anything to report on?
No, not at this time. I need to set up a meeting as well with my council member and staff to ask some questions about some of the grant proposals for the California Ave, and just wanted to get an update, and then I can share more information later.
Thank you, Destiny. 4, Laura.
Yeah, we had a good community bike ride, not in District 4, but in Southwest Fresno on the 5th. We gave out some helmets. We tested putting bikes on buses. And then we drove through the neighborhood, and it was great. And it really reiterated how much more you can connect to an area when you are there on a bike versus in a car. So that was a great, successful event, and we are planning on doing some more. We worked with the Fresno County Rural Transit Agency, who had an electric bus there, but we are looking to create an event where we are working with FACS as well. Yeah, we would like to work more with different organizations to give out the helmets. Just as Susan said, it's always a very positive experience. Then I think I missed to put it on the agenda, but I wanted to start the conversation on working with the Measure P committee in some way. As far as I understand, a lot of the money has been allocated for new existing parks and seniors and youth, but none yet for path and bike trails. And it would be good if we can form like a subcommittee from BPAC to look into maybe providing some recommendations for projects that would be good to get funded from this source from.
Yeah, that's good. I reached out to, again, I reached out to Parks and Rec. I think I said this last meeting. Yeah, I totally forgot Measure P had a committee now. So maybe I'll reach out to them as well, see if they're willing to, obviously wanting to come to BPAC and vice versa, and then do some things together. So good job, Laura, on that one. 5 is not here. 6 is Steven. Steven, you got anything to report?
Well, I also went on the bike ride that Laura was talking about. It was very good. I want to thank Fresno PD for sending some bicycle officers to ride along with us. That was very great. It was great to get out and see the community. Good for me to see a different part of town, because I'm spoiled in District 6 because we have a lot of bike infrastructure where, you know, other parts of towns are not as well provided, but it was a great place to ride around, and I had a good time, and it was nice to meet with everybody. And also having the bus there was a very good thing, because I've always been hesitant to take the bus because I'm like, well, is my bike going to fit on there, everything? Now I got it down. Now I have no problem. I can put my bike on the bus and be doing good. And as just a quick personal thing, I'm doing my cancer ride again this year. So if you're interested in sponsoring me for my cancer ride against children's cancer, go ahead and contact me. All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Stephen. Excellent, good thing. I think we all got the email. Everybody, if not, just email Stephen about that. 7, Susan.
I don't have anything this month, thanks.
Okay, Melanie.
Just following up again on the stings, I'm glad that the police department's doing something, and hopefully Officer Bella could respond to this later. Would it be possible for some of us to not necessarily participate in the sting, but observe, just to kind of see how they're done? Again, the stings that I've participated in and been able to observe had a real nice education component. They partnered with community-based organizations so that there was more of a, again, community education versus penalization, to really foster better relationships between the PD and community members. So if maybe we can just develop that a little bit, that would be nice, if it's a possibility. If not, you know, again, we'll look to the future when we can possibly fund that out of BPAC some other time when you don't have other grant funding. That's all. Thank you.
All right. And then I think for me, it's just, I have a meeting with the mayor scheduled on the 19th of July. So it'll be before our next meeting now. I'll let you guys know how that goes. Okay, so we have a presentation today from Elena Troncale. I hope I'm saying that last name right. This is a presentation that I think has been a couple months in the making, that had been presented to us. And so we finally got together, and she's going to share her presentation with us. I think it's about like maybe five to most 10 minutes long on some of her work. She's with the Community Medical Center, so she works there. She'll give you her full title and what she does there. Jill has the presentation, and if anyone wants the presentation as well, Jill can share that. We weren't able to get it in time to put it on the agenda to download it, but Jill does have it, and she'll be able to share it with the rest of BPAC. So Eliana, thank you for being here. We look forward to your presentation, and I think the floor is yours if you can give that to her, Gavin.
Do you need me to bring that? Do you need me to share the screen for the presentation?
Yes,
I promoted
please.
her to panelist, so she could share if you need to.
Yeah, I don't have it. I'm on an iPhone, so if Jill, you could help me with that, I would appreciate it. Thank you. So thank you for the opportunity to present. I am Eliana Troncali. I'm the Injury Prevention Outreach Specialist for the Trauma Program at CRMC. And I'm sharing just a bit of data from our trauma registry. We have a very robust trauma registry that has a lot of great information. So this is just kind of a few things that I thought might benefit you all to know. But if there are any individual things or data points that you're interested in getting, we can definitely look into expanding. Keeping in mind that our information has to be de-identified and HIPAA compliant, so we can't give you any specific identifiable information. Next slide. And I think most people are familiar with our organization, but just a brief overview. Community Medical Centers is a private not-for-profit healthcare network. We are composed of 4 hospitals, many outpatient clinics, many doctor's offices, and we are a teaching facility. We are connected to UC San Francisco's medical school, and our mission is to improve the health of our community and to promote medical education. And specifically, just a little bit of background about our trauma center. We are the Tebow Mountain Rancheria Trauma Center. We are the only level 1 trauma center, which is the highest level you can achieve. We are the only one between Los Angeles and Sacramento. So we cover a huge coverage area, which is about 15,000 square miles. And because we have such a large coverage area, that actually makes us one of the busiest trauma centers, not only in the state, but in the country. We admit about anywhere between 4 to 4,200 trauma patients every year. This last year was very busy for us. About a quarter of our patients are transferred to us from outside hospitals. And on average, we see between 250 and 300 pediatric trauma patients. And just to give you, I know we are specifically interested in bicycle and pedestrian related data, but just to give you information on how where it falls in the total amount of trauma we see. These are the admissions for 2020, all admissions broken up by traumatic mechanism, and it just shows our most common mechanisms. Mechanism being what injured the patient, what caused the trauma. So our leading cause of trauma is actually ground level falls, so slips, trips, and falling. And that's because of our large older adult population. So that's usually our top mechanism. It has been for many years, and it's the top mechanism throughout the country. It's followed by motor vehicle crash, injuring either a driver or a passenger. So last year we had 807. And then our third was actually assault, gun injuries by assault. But pedestrian and pedal cycle is what the injury code comes out under. Are significant. It's definitely something we see a lot of. So last year we saw 170 pedestrian versus auto patients and 105 pedal cycle versus auto. And I thought that I could share maybe just 2 years of data comparing. You can look at it as pre-pandemic versus post-pandemic. So 2019 versus 2020. So, and I broke it up by pedestrian and pedal cycle. So we saw 159 pedestrian versus auto, 116 pedal cycle versus auto. The majority of those patients are adults. So 19 and over. And there at the bottom, you'll see 39 of those patients did have ETOH alcohol, a positive alcohol screen. 7 of those were trace levels. And 81 of those patients had an illegal drug in their system at the time of injury. 24 had both ETOH or an illegal drug. And then we had 25 deaths in 2019 due to pedal cycle or pedestrian combined. And these are the top zip codes. So 93706 was number 1, and then followed by 93726 and 22. We do get a lot of patients that we don't know the exact zip code of where it occurred. It could be because they were dropped off or they come on their own to the hospital. So so that's what unknown means, is we don't know where the zip code happened. And here's 2020's data. So pedestrian versus auto went up 170 patients that year, 105 pedal cycle. Again, the majority are adults. Also, it could have, we weren't taking a lot of pediatric patients because we were so inundated with COVID that we were actually not accepting a lot of pediatric patients that are going to Valley Children's. So that could also be a reason why the pediatric numbers are low. You would have to ask Valley Children's what their numbers were. But 59 had alcohol in their system. 76 of those patients had an illegal drug. 25 had both. And then in 2020, we had 32 deaths. But 7 of those deaths were from out of Fresno. And again, the injury zip codes where the person was injured, 93706 again is there, and followed by 93702. And then 22, 27, and 26 had 12 in each of those zip codes. And just a quick takeaway is that we had an increase in pedestrian versus auto admissions for 2020 compared to 2019. So peds versus auto did go up. There was a slight decrease in our pedal cycle versus auto. I think it was about 10 patients. About 50% of the patients, a little bit more than 50, close to 60, did have either alcohol or an illegal substance in their system at the time of injury. And 93706, 702, 93722, and 93726 were common injury zip codes for both years. And here's my email address. So if you have any specific questions or would like to discuss anything pertaining to your district or where you live, I can try to help as best as I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Eliana. Does anybody have any questions for Eliana before she takes off about?
Yeah, I had some questions. I was wondering if the zip codes are correlating with where the hospital is located. And then if she has any information in the bicycle and pedestrian crashes with motorized vehicles, who was at fault, or if she has any information about the sobriety status of the drivers.
I do not know that information. And as far as correlated with the hospitals where we're located, do you mean our zip code, or what do you mean by that?
Well, you're located in downtown Fresno, right?
Yes.
So if somebody is getting injured in North Fresno, would they also be directed to your hospital, or would they be directed to St. Agnes or Kaiser or Clovis Community? How is that distribution working?
Yeah, that's a great question. So with EMS, with the ambulance, the patient, if the patient requests to be taken to a specific hospital, they can be taken to a specific hospital. If they prefer, Clovis or St. Agnes, they can be taken there. I think, and also if the injury happened, right across the street from the hospital, they will be taken there because it's the closest. But I think the thing to remember is that since we're the trauma center, if a patient is severely injured, then EMS will take them to CRMC immediately.
Yeah, Laura, any major trauma goes to the trauma center. Yeah. Even when I worked over on the coast, any major trauma we had over there in San Luis Obispo, we sent over to CRMC a lot in helicopter.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for the information.
Any other questions or comments for Eliana before she logs off here? Well, thank you, Eliana, for coming and sharing that information with us. I'm sure we have your contact information. If anyone else wants to get in touch with you, I know again it's been a couple months in the making, so thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Kind of in correlation there with the officer. We have, do we have Officer Belli? Do we have him? See the number?
He is.
Hello.
He doesn't like to use the video link.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, everyone. Yes. Well, first of all, I'd like to say thanks for acknowledging the bicycle units for attending that. I'm glad they were able to show up and assist on those activities. And yeah, like you mentioned earlier, the tragedy that occurred at Bryant and Fort Washington is something that affected everybody in our department, especially, of course, the officers and detectives that arrived on scene to take care of that and handle that. Information I have to share with you regarding that is, of course, the date was on June 18th, and it was about 11:40 p.m. The information I have so far that's able to be released is the family members were walking the 10-year-old. They were going from that northeast corner, Washington, where there's some restaurants, and I believe there's a Starbucks over there, and they were heading in a westbound direction. They were in the marked crosswalk. They had a green signal to proceed on the north side of the intersection. And the information I received from detectives, it appears the child was kind of lagging behind one of the family adult members, and traversed a majority of the roadway when he was struck by a vehicle that was southbound, in the southbound lanes. It appears that there was definitely some high speed involved, failed to stop for the red light, and this was a hit and run investigation. The vehicle did not stop. They did a transport immediately to Valley Children's Hospital, but Of course, we know the result, the tragic result of that. There is an arrest that's been made. I spoke with detectives. I've been working with them as it was going on, and they do have the individual involved in custody, and charges are pending. Go back to some pedestrian and bicycle collisions. I ran some data for January 1 of 2020 through May 31 of 2020, compared them to where we're at now in 2021. The numbers, fortunately, they do look a little bit better. We had 79 pedestrian collisions in 2020 during that time frame, and 29 bicycle collisions the same time frame this year, 2021. We have 11 less. We have 68 ped collisions and 28 bicycle collisions, so one less in the bicycle category. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Officer Belly?
Yeah, Officer, go ahead, Matt.
Go ahead, Stephen.
Just a clarification, because there were some questions on the news whether the light had changed or not. So the light was red when he went through the intersection?
As far as I know, talking to detectives, he violated the red light, and also speed is going to be possibly. They're looking at all the they have a lot of formulas they use, and they're still that's part of the investigation. But they also believe speed may be a factor in this.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, sobriety, we don't know. It's hit and run. But those charges are also going to be added on. As far as the hit and run charges will be added on.
My question is, when an incident like this happens, I mean, I've looked around online, and it seems like, well, while there have been like different collisions along Friant in the county area and also now in the city area, is there like a threshold that needs to be met for like PD to go to Public Works and say, we think that too many people are getting hit here and we need to, we think that there should be changes made?
Well, are you talking about infrastructure and road design? And well, not unless we see a problem with it. You know, our focus is enforcement. We believe that, and it's a proven fact, that the more enforcement we do, the more officers we have with their radar units pointing down the road and visible on the side of the road, and the more tickets we write, the lower the crashes go. I haven't seen anything. Traffic engineer is going to have to handle that portion of it, because I don't know. I mean, unless I see something obviously wrong with the roadway, then I don't really get involved in that. I have in the past. I've seen some issues with roadway designs where we have communicated and we have a great relationship with the traffic engineering, and we've worked things out. So yeah, we do on occasion. But as far as that specific roadway, I personally don't know anything offhand that needs to be addressed immediately besides enforcement right now.
Right. I think
Matthew,
in general, you know, we do work well with PD. If they like Officer Belli said, if they see something that is obvious to them, they will report it, even if it's really not obvious. We get some reports from other officers like, hey, can you check this out, or can you look at this, and what do you think of this? Or, you know, there's dialogue going back and forth all the time.
Weekly.
Yeah, that particular intersection, Matt, has a very long pedestrian cycle also. The only real danger was there for the longest time was there was no way for the bikes to go across with the signal, but they've added a bike signal button now. So that's pretty much mitigated that only safety factor with that intersection. That's probably one of the best infrastructure intersections that I go through, pretty much. So just speed is the main problem, them violating the law.
By bike signal, you mean you're talking about like where the trail crosses?
No, I'm talking about if you want to cross the intersection, there's a bike button there to change the signal for bikes.
On the other side of the cross, so there's a side that has a crosswalk, but on the other side with no crosswalk, there's a bike button so that the bike can cross with traffic, but it can change the light. So you wait for the signal to change. And yeah, I use that intersection a lot. Tons of people use that intersection. It is a long signal. Kids, dogs, everyone goes through there. And that's why it was so heartbreaking hear that that had happened. But definitely a lot of traffic as well, and high speed traffic. And when it's foggy, we take our time making sure that the cars all stop before we get into that crosswalk.
Right. I didn't know about the bike signal.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can't fix people who are breaking the law. I mean, you can only make infrastructure so much.
Right.
Right.
I would only ask that okay, is there a way I could like I mean I was looking online myself just to figure out what other like accidents had happened in the past or deaths along the Friant Road, but is there any way I could get information on other incidents that happened like previously on Friant, just rather than just Googling it?
Sure. Yeah, I can give you, I mean, anything that's city related, I have access to. I run the Crossroads program and all the analytics involved in that for our department. So yeah, if you want a time frame, the best way is to send me an email. I'm out of town right now.
Okay.
But if you want to send me an email, and just, as long as you give me parameters, how to run it, what, time, dates, time frames, what involved, is it pedestrian versus vehicle, bicycle versus vehicle, motorcycles, whatever the case may be. If you give me all that information, I can send you reports.
Okay. And any advice for getting in touch with the county for similar numbers?
No,
Oh, yeah.
because the sheriff doesn't, well, I don't know, I could find out, Matt, but I was gonna say, I think UC Berkeley Safe Trek, I think also has a database that you can get on. It's interactive, it's a map, and you can use that to find where collisions have happened. I think they pull NHTSA data, is that right, Jill?
Switters. So if you go
Switters,
on,
thank you.
Yeah.
yeah, Google UC Berkeley TIMS, TIMS, and you can sign up for an account, and you can look at any of the data that we've given through Switters. It's all Switters data that they've gathered. It's about maybe a year behind in processing things before they get all the records up and verified and whatnot. But yeah, it's pretty neat. You can go through and do through that one page.
Okay. Sounds cool.
What about, I'll just relate, do you have any information, and maybe I'm not really sure what happened, the one in Southwest Fresno and Elm in Geneva with Martina Flores? Do you have any information?
Is that the one you were mentioning earlier? It was June 11?
June 11th, yeah.
Yeah, I looked up, I was switching over to my email on my phone, looking up our log on that, and that must be a county collision, because that one does not appear on our log.
Okay.
I'll see what I could find out on the county end.
Wasn't really sure where that was in the scheme of the city. So if you don't have it, that's fine.
No, we don't. That did not appear on our fatal log. So that if it doesn't appear on our fatal log, that's not ours. It's going to be CHP.
Okay.
I wanted to go back to the Woodward Park one. I mean, obviously that was a very tragic event, and I mean, Woodward Park is surrounded by so many really fast streets with a lot of lanes. And I feel like, we've been talking about Autobahn for a while, where it's very hazardous to approach the park or cross from east to west and west to east. And I was wondering if this will somehow be covered by the zero, how's it called? The Vision Zero task force. Or if that would be kind of like a separate discussion on how to access parks with bikes, especially the biggest park in our city, and on foot, and the safety issues related with that.
Well, I'll just say, at least as far as me, I've met with like Tony Molina and Sheila Hockenpour of the Audubon Group, and we're kind of asking Public Works to do sort of a walk audit, along with, well, my council member Carbasi to participate in some sort of an audit, at least just for Woodward Park in general. But I mean, I could see but that's a separate thing from the Vision Zero task force. But I could see that being like a larger conversation, making sure bikes and everything else can like access parks and everything properly. Did that answer your question, or did I miss something?
I was just wondering if it's also within the Vision Zero, if it's getting discussed. I mean, I've been kind of proliferarily involved in the Audubon discussion, but feel like we need to, really get some action items going around this.
Right. But it hasn't been discussed in Vision Zero yet because we haven't met again yet. I mean, it'll inevitably come up tomorrow when we meet.
Okay, great.
I also think it's tricky to talk about those things when that area, while I'll admit there is some danger with the traffic and the speed that people go on Audubon, that there are bike lanes and there are trails and there are signals and crosswalks. And in other parts of the city, we don't have any of that. So I think as a Vision Zero, if we're looking at it as a city as a whole, I think we have other areas that have to take priority over the Woodward Park area. And I don't live in that area. I don't live in, I can't speak for that area. I'm not a resident of the area, but I think there are options for people. I mean, I'm at Woodward on a weekly basis using the trails, and as long as I'm careful and I'm aware of my surroundings, and whether I'm on a bike or on my foot, I have somewhere for me to be. There's somewhere for me to be. But if I go on Palm or I go on, Fresno Street, I take my life into my hands trying to get into the lane. So I think, as a committee, if we're looking at the city of Fresno, we need to keep those things in mind.
Jill, I have a question for Jill real quick. I heard a rumor, and it's only rumored, that there was talk of actually putting a signal there at that other entrance to Woodward Park. I know it'd be years out. Is that true that that's a consideration?
It is true. I had this problem today. I can't remember what the name of the development is, but it's the Sportsman, that stuff on the Fresno and Friant corner. Their EIR that was done years ago for that project. Fresno 40, yes. Actually, I think it's Park Crossing now. That's what it is. They changed the name. They were conditioned with putting in a roundabout at the Woodward Park Audubon intersection, and at a certain point in their development, which they have not hit yet. We have had discussions with them about changing that roundabout to a traffic signal, because we think that would work better for pedestrians, and they are agreeable to that. So once they get to whatever level of development for their project, they're required to use a traffic signal.
Well, that'll be good. That's the most dangerous way, is making that left-hand turn into the park. If you're coming from over the top of Audubon over that bridge, that's the one dangerous way in. So that'd be great.
I don't have a timeline though for it. So it's just totally dependent on when they're going to build. They've been in over the last couple of years with different ideas for their project, but so far I haven't seen them move forward with those concepts.
At least it's on somebody's plan though, so it
is
happen eventually.
And why would you prefer a traffic light versus a roundabout?
For that location, we just thought that it would be, there'd be no confusion for the pedestrians. They'd have phases versus trying to wait for a car to yield to them, coming into the roundabout or coming around the roundabout. So we just thought for that location, a traffic signal would accommodate pedestrians better than the roundabout would.
And will there be like a public outreach process once they meet the threshold to have to develop something there?
They've already been through the public process when they did their EIR years ago. I don't know what will happen when they meet the threshold. I don't want to say nothing, but they've already had all their community outreach meetings and public comment on the actual document. They've been through all that. They're just not developing very fast. So everything happened in the past.
Thank you, Officer Belli, for joining us. Enjoy your time wherever you are.
Phil, Tony had his hand up earlier.
Okay, Tony.
Unmute. Yeah, the statistics that Officer Bella reported, those were for collisions, correct? Not fatalities, right?
Those were collisions. The January through May, those were just total collisions involving either pedestrians or bicyclists. Yes.
Do you have fatalities for comparison or?
I didn't do that comparison. It would take me just a little bit of time to put that together.
Yeah. Okay. I was just. Do you know, just in general, ballpark wise, are we ahead?
I could tell you that 2021 has not been good in comparison to 20. I think we're a little ahead of 2021 right now. But just recently, so if you're asking from January 1 to May or to this point, 2020 compared to now 2021, I would say I'm pretty sure that our numbers are up a little bit.
Okay.
Fatalities in comparison to 2020.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Officer Bella, enjoy your vacation.
All right.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking time out of your day. All right, staff, however you want to go for the next couple of minutes here until we clear out.
Okay, well, let me, so we kind of already talked about the annual report. Like I said, I'm working on that and planning on the July 29th meeting. The work plan included, as always, if anybody has questions on projects or wants to see anything brought forth. I know Susan had reached out, and I will try to get that the Midtown team at the next meeting to discuss those plans again. The longest one, I think, is probably going to be the grant update item. I'm hoping Scott will tag team it with me a little bit. We are working on some potential grant applications. As you know, Shelby has left the city, so we're doing the best that we can. We have CMAQ coming up, which is congestion mitigation, air quality, congested, I don't even know what it is, congestion mitigated air quality. And then I think that's due, what, September-ish, August, or early fall, late summer type thing. And then we also have the STBG grants that are due right after the CMAQ one. So we're putting together some ideas right now for projects to apply for. One of them that I included in the agenda was the California Avenue Class 4 concept. It's not done by any means. We still have some things that we are trying to add to it to make it a better and more competitive grant application. One of those things being to redesign the Pottle intersection. And that's not shown on this plan, but we are working on those concepts. And another one, if you've been listening to the budget meetings, Councilmember Maxwell has brought up a Class 4 on Barstow. So we are looking at that concept. It would be from Blackstone to Cedar. East of Cedar is not city jurisdiction. That's Fresno State roadway. So our project would be within our jurisdiction. So we are, tossing around thoughts and going to get some concepts on paper for that. What else are we looking at, Scott? You remember?
Yeah, my team has 10 projects that we're working on right now. A lot of them are just overlays, which would, basically reestablish the existing roadway. There's nothing of specific interest, I think, to BPAC. One of the projects would be signalizing Beheimer and Chestnut by Todd Beamer Park. Palm Avenue ITS between Shaw and Herndon to coordinate the signals there. City of Clovis is working on an ITS application for North Clovis Avenue. I forgot the limits of it, but it's kind of the north end. It's within the city, their city's jurisdiction. we're looking at a portion further south, American to Dakota, in that range. And then, you know, I think downtown, we've got East Street between Ventura and El Dorado, looking at a road diet and left turn phasing at Tulare and E, which is already signalized. We would just be adding left turn phasing to the traffic signal, which is basically a new signal in essence. So again, about 10 projects throughout the city. 5 in each, STBG and 5 in CMAC.
And I think for the overlay projects, you know, as we always do, we are looking for opportunities to add bike lanes or make them bigger or, you know, enhance them in any ways. And one of the projects, wasn't it on First? Didn't we have one on First, an overlay?
Yeah, First Tulare to Olive.
Tulare to Olive, and I don't know if any of this group participated in it, but I know Tony and Nick both did. There a few years ago, actually right after we did the ATP, we worked with COG and participated in the Fresno Clovis Class 4 feasibility study, and that's part of where Councilmember Maxwell's Barstow Class 4 idea is coming from. It's out of that study. First Street also had a Class 4 that they analyzed from Hazelwood all the way up to like Nees, all the way to the north, and deemed that to be really high feasibility, real, you know, high in the safety, high in the connectivity, high in all these different categories. So we are going to look to see if we can get Class 4s along that stretch that we are working on, as was shown in that study. So we're still trying to work. We don't have, other than the California concept, we don't have anything to show anybody yet because we're still trying to pull together everything. Hang on a second.
Jill putting people in check.
Sorry, everybody's, yeah.
It's dinner time.
It's dinner time.
No
yeah.
respect.
So I'll put up the California concept so that you can all see it, and then you ask questions if you have them.
Jill, I was wondering about the California concept. I know the Valley Can and a bunch of organizations in Southwest Fresno, they are currently working on a walking audit with CalWalks and Safe Track. I was wondering if you are like aligning that in some ways with this grant application, or if you can include the findings in the conceptual planning.
So I'm part of that process, and this was something that we had thought about kind of a while ago, and we had a consultant drawn up for us. And then when this grant came up, we thought, hey, this might be a good project to consider. And that's why it's not done yet, because we're throwing other stuff in there. So depending on, I don't know off the top of my head, the process for that group and how far along they are by the time we get to have to have the grant submitted. You know, we can consider some of the thoughts and the ideas that come out of that that process also. It's a matter of the timing of everything.
And how about the intersection of Portal and MLK and California? Like, how is that conceptual design development for that going to float into this grant?
So it's not shown on the plan yet. We're working to have that updated. So can you guys see my screen there? And the plan on.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the intersection that we're looking to redesign. If you remember Shields and Blackstone, a few years ago, we did have these slip pork chop type of movements, free rights. We're looking at trying to square that up and make it a more standard intersection, similar to what we did to Blackstone and Shield. We took out those pork chops So the right turn, that right turn lane, they go right up to the intersection. They don't have a free movement. And so we're developing some concepts and cost estimates to remove those pork chop islands and make it more of a standard type intersection.
That's great to hear.
Sounds good. One thing I thought of looking at that is like, since it's like there's so much space that you'd be getting rid of, it's like there'd be like an interesting sort of a placemaking opportunity there at some point. I don't know, but that's all I have, but
I'll walk you through some of it. So for the most part, it's class 4, but there are some areas that are going to have to be class 2 because of driveways, houses fronting along there. So what is this? This is Fruit. We'll work our way east. This is all more of a buffered bike lane on the north side. Not class 4 because we do still have the parking for the residences that front along California. As you move to the east, we have the buffers through here. I think there might be some opportunity to put some of the posts through here. We'd have to make the buffer a little bit bigger, but we're still working through some of those details. So we just get lots of paint, lots of, like you said, Matthew, lots of area. California has always been planned a 4-lane road, but when the Southwest Pacific plan was done, the analysis that came out of that said it really only needed to be 2 lanes, or we'll say 3 lanes, because we'll have the 2-way left turn lane down the middle. So and I believe it even designated it as a road diet opportunity in the Southwest Pacific plan. So that's where some of these ideas are coming from, the plans that had been done a few years ago. But yeah, here's a typical cross section. We have 1 lane in each direction, the 2-way left turn pocket, 7-foot bike lane. Like you said, some areas we have 5-foot buffers, some areas they might be 8 feet. Just got a lot of pavement out there that's not needed for cars. So trying to work through to redesignate it to be more bike and more options for bikes and pedestrians. So if anybody has questions on anything, we'll be working through this. I would love to have an opportunity to bring it back when we get it finalized, but I don't know what the timeline is on the grant for the grant application. And we actually have a consultant doing this work for us. So, what their time, when we're going to get it back from them and how our meetings line up. So I will share what I have as we get it. Haven't started on any of the other ones. Like I said, the Barstow idea just started coming out of some of these budget hearings and talks. So we're just trying to get that thrown into the mix and hopefully get something pulled together in time for the grant cycle.
just out of curiosity, so you're using a consultant right now just because Shelby's not there anymore, but is there a plan to replace the consultant with a regular employee working at the city at some point?
So this is not because of Shelby. This is this was to help me think of different kind of concepts and ideas for different things. But yes, Shelby's position is posted. If anybody's interested, I believe it's shown as a senior management analyst on the Fresno job page. We are actively looking for somebody to fill that position. And, Scott and I, well, I'll say I'm not a grant writer, so I'm trying to fit that into my duties, and I think Scott's probably doing the same. Shelby left a big hole. She did a good job, and Scott said we've got 10 applications. That's a lot. It's a lot for one person to do. It's a lot for a lot of people to do. So
Thanks.
I was also wondering, for the class for Barstow, are you looking for grant funding as well, or will that be covered through the city budget?
We will look for, I think, for grants. We're going to throw it in the same mix as what we're doing for the CMAC, and potentially. I mean, that's what we're thinking, is that we'll look at these upcoming grants that we have here right in front of us and see what we can do. I don't know. The budget's not over yet. Budgets talks are not over yet, so I don't know how that will play out. I mean, there could be something tomorrow that says there's a project, funded somewhere for Barstow, or for any project for that matter throughout the city. That's always on the table during these budget hearings. So.
Yeah, I've talked with the council member Maxwell about the projects, and some folks from Fresno State, and we got some support letters. So if you're working on a grant for this, I'd be happy to reach out to the same people and get some letters of support for this.
Perfect
project.
We do have somebody helping us with the support letters, so I'll get her in contact with you when we get to that point, to coordinate that kind of stuff.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Anybody from the public have questions?
I think there's Nick and Tony that have their hands up.
I can't see the hand stuff, so.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Nick is on. Nick is on.
Okay. So I understand, Jill, that this is going to be mostly class 4, correct?
Yes, the intent would be to be mostly class 4.
Okay. I will then, of course, make my standard comment regarding class 4 is that I would like to have 7 feet of asphalt rather than 5 or 6 feet of asphalt for the class 4s. The reason why I want 7 feet of asphalt, because once again, I regard class 4s as bicycle ghettos. You have to be now space for cargo bikes and passing, because you're going to have a wide variety of users. And now with electric bikes, you're going to have high-speed bicyclists. So you're going to have now space for passing within that bicycle travel way. And I'm assuming that your delineators are going to be your vertical posts. Is that correct?
Right now, that's our standard, yeah, for class 4s.
Yeah, okay. And you said in the first sheet 2 of 4, you're having, that's going to have parking. You're going to have that red car. Yes, you're going to have parking in that area, correct?
Correct. That would not be class 4 through that section. That would be just a buffered bike lane, similar to what we did out on Maple, so that we could keep the parking for those homes.
So you're going to have a door zone bike lane, a buffered door zone bike lane. So you have a bike parking, a door zone bike lane, and then a buffer. Is that how I read that?
Yes.
Okay. Because I was looking at their plans there, and I noticed that once again, the bicycle travelway sometimes was 5, sometimes was 6, and sometimes was 7. And like I said, the major thing I'm pushing for is that wherever you have a class 4, I definitely want 7 feet of asphalt to allow for cargo bikes or families with, hauling their small kids behind them in a cargo trailer, and allow for passing, because you don't want people trying to pass, weaving in and out between delineator posts. So definitely want that situation. And are you ever going to come up with a new standard drawing for cycle tracks? Out of curiosity.
Hey, Nick, this is Scott. Yeah, we are working on that for our next revision of the standards.
Yeah, greatly appreciate looking at that when you get around to it. And I'd like to see this as you move forward. I was looking at this drawing again this afternoon after I got through with the Measure C marathon Zoom meeting, and I might have some more questions. I might call you directly if you have no objections.
No, that's fine.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick. Tony, real quick.
I want to add real quick to that on the width. Scott, what's the sweeper width? What do we need to maintain for the street sweeper?
Streets wants 8 foot 6 inches.
Yeah,
from
so
the curb face to the edge of the delineator.
So you know, we're working as much as we can always to you know, have our preference is 7 feet minimum, and then we have to have a 3 foot minimum buffer for class 4. So and accommodate that sweeper. So
In essence, you end up with 8 feet more or less of a travel lane for bikes between the face of curb and the delineator.
Minimum. Okay, sorry, Tony.
Okay, yeah.
You muted yourself, Tony.
Okay, I thought it was unmuted.
There you go.
Thank you. With regard to the pottle redesign there, I was gonna kind of raise the suggestion that consideration be given to what was done up at Davis at Mace Boulevard and Covell. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but they actually had slip lanes in that intersection initially, and they converted it into a protected intersection. So I know Councilmember Arias wants to go big here, but if you have cycle tracks on there, that might be an opportunity for Fresno's first protected intersection. And if you want to look at that Mason Covell, I can send it to you if you want. There's an article from Streets blog. So that was the one comment. And the other thing I wanted to raise on the, I didn't get a chance to mention it when Shelby was mentioning the cycle track that was proposed on Elm with the Congressman Costa. But I was wanted to say I was disappointed that it didn't extend all the way down to Annandale, that it seemed to kind of end kind of in mid-block there. So I wanted to, I know, again, Councilmember Arias was looking for projects there, but I was wondering if there was some reason why it wasn't extended beyond the mid-block to Annandale.
I don't have an answer for that right now. I don't I don't have the city county map. Is that still city jurisdiction south of there? I don't know. I don't have an answer for you on that. I don't know if Scott knows. If nobody else has anything on California, I will share we were not successful with our ATP update application. So we're going to have to regroup and figure out, find some other funding sources to apply for, to update our active transportation plan.
How much does this like delay it? I mean, if this, since we didn't get the application or the money, does that, I mean, how long does that take to like?
Well, we have to have funding available, so we're going to have to just watch. Like right now, we don't have it doesn't apply. It won't qualify for the couple of applications that I'm talking about that are coming up in the fall. So I don't know. I don't want to say I'm not the grant writer, so I don't know exactly what's out there, but we're going to have to do a little bit of research and try to figure out what is out there. Shelby probably would have been able to tell you, oh, there's this one coming up. And I just don't know that off the top of my head. So we're going to have to try to find stuff. So depending on when we can find, a source, what their timeline is, it could be not a significant delay, or it could be quite a significant delay.
Thanks. Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else have questions on the grants or?
Was that it for the staff reports? So you got any more? I don't remember if we have them.
I think I'm done.
Anything else, Scott?
Nothing directly, but I would mention that we do now have 2 segments of Midtown Trail that have been awarded for construction. So hopefully in the next year, we'll see some progress on that and some actual trail being built, and another year or so after that, have the whole network built out. So fingers crossed.
Thank you, Scott, for the update. Just a reminder, we have on the calendar to meet for our agenda meeting on the 14th of July. So if you want something on the agenda to include it, make sure that it's in by the 14th. It might not be the 14th. Jill's telling me she might not be able to do it the 14th.
Yeah, I think I moved. Didn't I move it? I think I moved.
I don't know. Maybe you did.
Yeah, I moved it to the 13th. So we have to have everything in. I'm leaving on the 13th. So I have to get the agenda for the 28th done on the 13th. So as soon as you guys, if you have something you want on there, as soon as you can get that to me, I don't have anybody that.
You moved it to the 13th. It's on the 13th, Jill.
Yeah. So I'm the agenda person. So if you have something, if I don't have it before I leave on the night of the 13th, to give it to the staff that helps me, actually pulls it together for me, it won't be on the agenda.
All right. Well, enjoy your time. I'll see you before you leave, but have a good vacation.
I had another question for the staff. Last meeting, you guys talked about hosting kind of like an educational session on how you pick out projects. Is that still in the work? And if yes, what's your plan?
Scott was going to be sending.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm on point for that, Laura, and I'm really sorry I haven't made any progress, but it's my kind of brainchild, and we will be doing it. This summer is kind of fallen apart for me in front of me as far as time goes, but I will work on that as soon as I can, and we'll get something this year rolling for sure.
Thanks for the update on that. Appreciate it. All right, if there's no other points to be made, no other comments, nothing from staff, we'll need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Stephen.
I'll second.
Oh, Melanie.
Dinner's ready. Come on.
Melanie beat you to it, Laura. All those in favor, none opposed. Appreciate it. Get your items in by the 13th if you want it on the agenda, and we'll see you guys next month.